What's going on, guys? It's your boy Eddie Knight. Welcome back to Nerdy Before It Was Cool, where we nerd out about TV and films, especially ones based on comic book characters. I just watched the first episode of Penguin and I have some thoughts. I'm going to spend this first little chunk of the video going over my just brief overall thoughts of the first episode in general. This first section will be spoiler free. I'll leave timestamps below to let you know when the spoiler stuff starts. But anyways, let's get into it. So before we talk about anything else, I really think it's only right that we get into the city of Gotham. And one of my biggest gripes and complaints about TV shows or movies that end up being spin-offs after something significant happens, I hate how that significant thing just falls to the wayside. It's never mentioned. You don't see any repercussions from it, but they didn't do that here at all. You really see the grime, the grit, and the wreckage of that flood that happened in the Batman movie. Nearly every inch, every corner of Gotham was felt by this, even the crime lords who run their business, because this has put a damper on things for them in Gotham. They really expand on Gotham City here. We see the different blocks, the different neighborhoods and boroughs, so many hints and Easter eggs from the Batman comic books, whether it be the Long Halloween series and many more. And I love how even in the daytime, the city just looks nasty. It kind of reminds me of the series Gotham, but with the grit and grime just cranked up to 10. They let us know before this series came out that the Batman wouldn't be a part of the show, but I love how you can feel his presence even though he isn't in the series. Like even the way that the Penguin decides to do all of his crimes and dirt during the daytime because he knows that the Batman is going to be lurking and patrolling at night. I thought that was a good touch. On top of this gritty, disgusting landscape where everybody's trying to feel that power vacuum, we also have the ramifications of the Riddler still playing a role in this as well. So I loved how they didn't just leave that in the Batman either. I watched the episode a couple of times and it's just been really fun to just see all of the stuff that carried over from the film into this series. Getting into the main character of the series himself, the Penguin, he is a lot like we saw him in the movie, but obviously we're getting a deeper dive into his character, some of his characteristics, like he's sleazy, he's grimy, and even in this one episode, they really do a lot to give him some depth. He has a certain viewpoint of what a gangster should be, and he wants to be that for Gotham. He wants to not just rule the city for power's sake, but in his own words, he also wants to help the people in need. In his mind, he thinks he knows better than everyone else, and he's smarter than everyone else, and he needs to be the one in charge to really push the city into the direction that it needs to go. If one thing was made clear in this first episode, the Penguin just really wants to be revered and respected, and he has some really deep rooted insecurities that cause him to do a lot of really ignorant and stupid things. I was wondering how they were going to play his character in this show because he was used a lot as kind of comic relief in the Batman film.
Am I the only one here knows the difference between L and law? Jesus. No habla español?
I didn't know how that was going to mow over in this more serious tone, but it is really interesting juxtaposed seeing how these lightly comedic moments kind of happen in situations that feel almost wrong to laugh at. Like this feels much more like The Sopranos or The Godfather than it does anything comic book related. When we're dealing with the power vacuum in Gotham, of course we're going to be dealing with the Falcone family and the Maroni family, just like we were in the Batman film. And it's really interesting to see how they kind of subtly hint at the fact that all of these major families in Gotham, whether it be the Maronis or the Falcones or even the Waynes, are so deeply rooted and connected into the city of Gotham, but not just the city of Gotham, but also all in each other. I love when the stories kind of hint at and play with that idea that maybe the Waynes weren't bad people, but maybe they were involved in some of this stuff in a way that we might not quite fully understand until the mystery fully unfolds. In other words, although they may be good people overall, their hands are probably a little bit more dirty than we would like to believe. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into some more spoilery aspects of the first episode, talk about the story and where it's leading. So episode 1 is called After Hours because it literally takes takes place after hours at the club. The Penguin is scattering around trying to collect all this information on people now that Falcone's gone, skimming stuff off the top, just being his typical sleazeball self. Now, this interaction with Falcone's son pretty much tells us all we need to know about the Penguin here. He's very clearly up to no good and he gets caught red-handed, but he's somehow able to weasel and wiggle his way out of the situation by just talking. He has a literal gun pointed at him and he's just cool as a cucumber. He's doing what we're going to see him do a lot in this first episode, which is downplay himself, make himself look and feel small just to big these people up to make them feel better about themselves. And inevitably we get to the part where the guy laughs at him and the Penguin kills him. I love how that's just become a part of the Penguin over the years. Like, do not laugh at the Penguin or it will be the end of you more than likely. After he kills him, he lets off this really evil smirk, and that smirk fades pretty quickly because he realizes what he just did. Then he has to sloppily run around and get rid of this body, which leads him into meeting his new protege, Vic. Although this is definitely a drama and not a comedy, this episode has a lot of things that I feel like I shouldn't be laughing at, but I end up laughing at anyway. Like when he has Vic at gunpoint, this kid is stuttering, he is scared to death, but Penguin's reaction to it just makes it funny. He's like, geez, dude, relax. The Penguin sees a lot of himself in Vic, and that's pretty apparent from their first interaction. In his dealings with Vic is where we really get to see the character of Penguin shine, and we get to see some of his more sympathetic and empathetic traits. As sleazy and greasy as he is, the Penguin genuinely has this deep-rooted care for Gotham City. It doesn't stop him from doing a lot of horrible things, like literally running a drug operation, but he does care for the city. I don't know if anyone else felt this, but the Vic and Penguin relationship feels like it has this ticking time bomb element to it. Like, I just don't see it ending well for Vic in any possible outcome. As soon as he gets to the point where Penguin feels like he doesn't need him anymore, I feel like that's gonna be the end of him. They tease that here in the first episode, even though he decides not to and takes him under his wing, when Vic just tells him like, man, I just need a chance. Really heartfelt scene that clearly touched the Penguin, but I still don't see this relationship ending well for Vic. I genuinely don't think he knows what he's gotten himself into. We spend a pretty big chunk after that initial scene just doing some character building, character work, just showing you Gotham City as a whole, basically showing you how all of the poor neighborhoods got wrecked by the flooding. The Penguin's pretty much just running around the city like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to cover his tracks off of what he just did. He's got a big plan at play, but he has to put some small pieces together first. And this is where we find out that he's the middleman to Falcone's drug operation. There's these teardrop drugs all over the streets of Gotham that I guarantee are probably gonna play a bigger role in the season as it unfolds. He's the middleman. He has a whole operation that he is the head of. In that conversation where the Penguin's operation gets shut down, this is where we meet Sophia Falcone, and she is scary as hell, bro. She's not playing this typical rage psychopath. She's a more subdued, very calm speaking, all of these little disturbing smiles type of psychopath that just makes you feel really uneasy. She's really killing it in this role. She clearly knows that the Penguin has something to do with her brother's disappearance. She's just not quite sure yet. So she's pretty much just pressing his buttons, trying to see if she can get him to slip. And I really like that element because pretty much through this entire first episode, Penguin has been pretty calm and collected in the face of danger, but here he's pretty squirmy and weaselly around her, and I'm trying to see what that's about. We know he was part of the reason why she got sent to Arkham, but I feel like there's a little bit more to the story. A couple of weeks ago, I dropped a video about villains and why we love them and how they kind of take the spotlight sometimes, and that's on full display here with the Penguin. He constantly finds his back against the wall in this first episode, and he just manages to get through it. It's actually pretty impressive. Now, this wouldn't be a show about the Penguin if we didn't dive into some of his mommy issues. His mom talks down to him pretty heavily, verbally abuses him a lot, and you can very clearly see some of his more greasy, grimy traits that get it by any means personality probably comes from how he was treated by his mom growing up. We see she's a little bit off of a rocker. She hasn't taken her meds in a while and she's kind of losing her memory. And Penguin's just kind of feels sad and sorry for her, while at the same time being kind of scared of her. It's a really weird relationship. She also kind of lifts him up a bit. She tells him to stop thinking so small and own the fact that he did what he did on purpose, and that kind of sets everything else into motion. Now, while there's no actual MacGuffin that people are after in this series, the Maroney ring definitely acts as that symbol of power that a lot of people are after. Penguin going to meet Maroney was probably the huge turning point in this show, because that's when the big part of his plan was really set in motion. Maroney's really untrusting of him, and I like this conversation because it gives us some more context on who Penguin has been in this universe. Maroney lets us know that this isn't the first time that the Penguin has tried to screw over the Maroney or the Falcone family, which I thought was a really dope touch, because not only are we getting some character building on this version of Penguin, but it also just lets us know how nothing that he's done has gone unseen. And I think that's going to be foreshadowing a lot of things that happen with this season between him and Sophia Falcone. I don't know if anybody watching this was a big fan of the Gotham series, but if you listen closely to the plan that Penguin proposes to Maroney, it's actually the same exact plan that he pulls off by himself in the Gotham series. And I thought that was a really cool, respectful nod to the Penguin that came before. So after that Maroney meeting, we see Penguin get captured by Sophia Falcone. And I understand why Colin Farrell says he never wants to see this fat suit again. It looks so realistic, but I can tell that had to take hours every single time they shot. From head to toe, they made this man the Penguin. Sophia Falcone has him caught dead to rights. One of the kids that was there on the night that her brother was killed that the Penguin shot at has been captured, and he is an eyewitness saying that he saw Penguin on that same exact night coming out of the club. And this is where we really see the crazy from Sophia Falcone's character. They play her pretty damn close to how she was in the Long Halloween comics. She's a really deranged character, and I thought they were going to chop his arm off. I thought that's what they were going for. I thought we were going to get a Penguin with not only a limp, but one arm as well, and that would have been insane. Then Sophia goes up and sees her brother in the car with his finger missing, just like in the comics. We hear her let off that loud scream, and then we see Penguin crack that devious smile again, just like he did in the beginning of the episode, but only this time it's not followed by this realization that he did something wrong. He just keeps on laughing because he knows, at least for now, he's gotten away with it. He successfully framed the Maroneys for the young Falcone's murder. And that was really crazy because it's like, damn, man, he's been planning this ever since he took the ring off of young Falcone at the beginning of the show. Just kind of showing you once again how intelligent and how quick on his feet that the Penguin can be when he needs to. He's just unfortunately extremely impulsive. If he could just stick to a plan, he would be so much better for it. The ending scene was really cool and lighthearted and almost comedic, almost juxtaposed to the really disgusting stuff that just happened before. And in this conversation, although Penguin sees a lot of himself in Vic, he officially asks him to come on and be his protege. We really see the difference between the two. Although they may have some similarities, the Penguin sees people as completely disposable. And you can kind of hear this in how jovial he kind of talks about chopping someone's head off. As to where Vic sees people as people, and it wasn't quite that simple to him. He understands that it's a lot more than just that simple act.
I have so many questions!
Now to end, this episode left me with a few questions. Question 1, what the hell is in that crate, and why does the Penguin think this is gonna revolutionize the drug trade? This teardrop drug they already have is pretty intense, so I wonder what he thinks this could be. I wonder what this is that's gonna shake up the game so much, and why is he so invested in making this his play? Why does he think this is gonna be what puts him on top? It has to be something really big. Pause. Second question, how long is this Vic and Penguin relationship actually going to last? Like I said, I feel like there's a ticking time bomb element to this partnership, because if Penguin really sees himself in Vic, he knows deep down that he will do anything in order to survive. And question number 3, how long is Penguin going to get away with this Maroney cover-up? Did this just buy him some time, or did he actually get away with this? Because I feel like Sophia's a pretty intelligent character, and she's probably going to find out that he was the one that actually killed her brother. So it's just so many different routes that the show could go after this first episode, and I'm definitely intrigued. But I'd love to know what you thought about the first episode of Penguin down in the comments. Also, let me know some of your predictions for how the rest of the series is going to play out. Until next time, it's your boy Eddie Knight. I'm out.